As a critical situation unfolds in Cuba, one man in Cayman is mobilizing aid with a large shipment of medical supplies on the way. Plus, a CUC executive breaks down what the government's fuel relief program looks like for you and your family this summer. And the National Weather Service is joining us live tonight on set to discuss the 2026 Atlantic hurricane season. I'm Kayla Karim in for Shanna Gallego, and Compass News starts right now. We begin tonight with breaking news out of the Bahamas. British Airways Flight 253 coming from London and headed to Cayman has been held in Bahamas over public health concerns. The Cayman Islands government confirms they are aware of the situation, assuring Cayman faces no immediate risk at this time. We spoke to one passenger on the flight who said 2 people were removed from the plane in Nassau. Travelers whose final stop was Bahamas were allowed to disembark after screening. The remaining passengers are in a separate area of the departure lounge, and government says local health authorities and border control officials are on fuel alert and in direct contact with their counterparts in the Bahamas. We will continue to have updates this evening on KimandCompass.com. Meantime, with the latest in Cuba, power outages are lasting for hours, supplies are dwindling, and the nation's healthcare system is under strain. Marlon Riera, a Cuban national who has been living in Cayman for 8 years, is doing what he can to help, working to offset the shortage of essential supplies. Our Mark Weston has more.
It's a critical situation. Being in touch with so many doctors and so many medical personnel, especially in Havana, I'm aware of this situation.
Marlon Riera is the founder of Blue Unicorn for Cuba, which was started in February of this year and has been sending supplies to doctors in the Havana area. He says the next shipment will put the total donations to well over 1,000 pounds of supplies.
The country having no oil for so many months due to the USA blockade is impeding hospitals to having enough power to operate their equipment and all sort of equipment they use for taking care of patients. For example, hemodialysis equipment or kits, auxiliary ventilators.
Donations have been pouring in from various sectors of the community, including the hospitality sector, the Cuban community, and pharmacies.
Pharmacies of the private sector, they've been giving us a lot of stuff they're not using anymore, or stuff that they coming close to the expiration date, stuff that we can still use, of course.
And while they're not looking for any specific items, he says medical supplies are especially welcome.
It's just a little drop of water in the ocean, but we're very happy when you see messages from them saying thank you and the way they're using it in Cuba. So most of it is going to Cuban hospitals, and then in the hospitals, because it's going specifically to doctors and trained personnel.
Marlon, who lived the majority of his life in Cuba, says helping his fellow Cubans in their time of need is a necessity. Anyone wanting to join the donation drive can reach out to Marlon via the Blue Unicorn for Cuba Facebook or Instagram pages. For Compass News, I'm Mark Weston.
Meantime, a 34-year-old man from Boddentown is facing multiple charges following a stabbing in Georgetown Tuesday night. This is the second stabbing incident to occur this week. Police say 2 men got into an altercation at a residence on Breezy Way, and one was stabbed in the chest and arm. Police say the investigation remains ongoing. And as we head into the summer months, energy costs are expected to rise. Parliament has passed a relief package in response to global energy pressures. It is a 2-part package that temporarily waives fuel import duty and caps the fuel rate charged on bills. Around 40 to 60% of a residential customer's bill can be tied to fuel costs, which is a direct pass-through and sensitive to oil price spikes. CUC Chief Financial Officer Letitia Lawrence explains how customers will benefit from this program.
Because of what's happening globally with fuel prices, as much as a 40% increase in the fuel portion of the bill because of the higher pricing that we're experiencing. Between the fuel duty waiver and the cap on the fuel factor rate will help significantly customers, especially those smaller residential customers, through the summer period.
The fuel rate cap protects customers from volatility in oil prices, but overall bill amounts come down to how much electricity is used. So while bills are expected to be lower with this program, they won't necessarily drop compared to the previous month. Meanwhile, CUC has been recognized as a leading energy provider in the Caribbean. Carolick, the Regional Association for the Industry, held its inaugural Awards of Excellence this week, and CUC was named Best in Service Reliability, tied for top environmental performance, and earned the title Best Energy Provider in the Caribbean. CUC was the only utility to win all three categories, and the association says the honors help elevate industry standards, that is, by establishing clear performance benchmarks. Now let's check in with our Simon Boxall for your weather forecast.
Thanks very much, Kayla. Well, a weak pressure gradient across the northwest Caribbean Sea is leading to slight to moderate easterly winds, pretty gentle seas. We could see an isolated shower or two across the weekend and possibly a little bit of thunder. Mostly good conditions. A lot more news, weather and sports after the break, so stay with us. Well, it's currently 86 degrees here in our capital, Georgetown. Wind coming out of the east, southeast at 12 miles an hour. You can see a little shower or two later this evening. Not very much, though. You can see these scattered showers in and around Cayman at the moment, also across Cuba as well. They're seeing a few showers at the present time. Looking at the sea surface temperatures, we're just getting quite close now to the beginning of hurricane season, the beginning of June. You can see the water is starting to warm up. This is the ocean heat content, which measures the temperature of the water down fairly deep as well. You can see at this time of year, we tend to see if there is any formation that occurs in the Western Caribbean Sea rather than the traditional Cape Verde hurricane. So nothing in the near term that looks like could spin up. So at the present time, we're just kind of in that watching and holding pattern as we move towards the beginning of hurricane season. Looking at the infrared satellite imagery of the region, you can see a little bit of disturbed weather down by Costa Rica down there and the southern part of Nicaragua, and also across the southern part of the US, particularly quite a heavy thunderstorm, some flash flooding occurring around Texas, Tennessee, Alabama, also Georgia as well. We'll talk about that in a little while. Tonight, the SpaceX Heavy rocket did not go off as planned yesterday. There was issues with ground equipment. They are planning again at 5:30, a window between 5:30 and 7 o'clock tonight. So if you're looking off towards the northwest, you may just see it streaking across the sky, passing over the Cayman Islands with a flight path, as you can see, coming out of the SpaceX Starbase in Boca Chica, Texas, coming across the Cayman Islands area. Don't look directly into the sun, obviously, but there's a better chance you could see it tonight if the launch goes off as planned. As I said, there is this disturbed weather. They had over 100 flight delays in Atlanta, Georgia today, so there is quite disturbed weather. If you're heading up to Miami for the weekend, may see a shower or two there, but mostly dry at times as well. For tonight's forecast, 81 degrees, temperatures relatively nice tonight. Wind coming out of the east-southeast, 12 miles an hour. As I said, a little scattered shower is possible later tonight. Tomorrow is Barabanu. People are going to be taking the streets to celebrate in the carnival. 87 degrees, going to be a little bit of breeze. It's going to pick up a little bit tomorrow, coming out of the east at 13 miles an hour. Possible shower here or there, but if we do have them, should be very brief. So you can see that on the extended forecast. Little shower here or there, and sometimes we get the afternoon thunderstorm as well, but mostly dry as well on Sunday. So looking pretty good for the weekend. And with that, we're going to send it back to Kayla on the news desk.
Thanks so much, Simon. We're continuing our coverage of preparations ahead of hurricane season tonight. And we're going to go back to Simon in a second, who is standing by with Chief Meteorologist Carrie Powery on the season ahead. And they're also going to talk about the danger of misinformation. Let's check in with Simon now.
Thanks very much again, Kayla, and great to see, as always, Mr. Powery, Carrie Powery, Chief Meteorologist still at the moment, at the present time. So you sent out some very interesting information. Rainy season also sort of tracks the hurricane season to a degree as well. Some of the things you said, it might be warmer than usual, may see a little less rain, and also a little bit of possibly less tropical cyclone activity. Why did you come to that conclusion?
The biggest driver to that climate forecast is based on the projection of El Nino forming.
Okay.
We already see warmer than normal sea surface temperatures over the Pacific, Eastern Pacific, and that's projected to continue basically throughout the rest of this year. Indication of El Nino becoming more dominant. And as a byproduct, if you will, El Nino causes the shift of patterns in the Atlantic, for example, and for us it means most likely increased wind shear, which might suppress some tropical cyclone development,
Right.
and also disrupt the rainfall pattern, and as you mentioned, lead to warmer than normal temperatures for us.
I imagine that's going to be tough a little bit for the people, farmers and people working outdoors and stuff.
Not only them, again, yes, it will be knock-on effects. Like if they have to increase their irrigation, that's cost of water,
Right.
so they may want to recoup that. So you go into the farmer's market on the rest of the year, might see a little higher price on local products. Not only local products, but perhaps even those that are being exported from overseas. These dry conditions might be a regional situation that also impacts them. So that's one aspect, but also we're talking drier temperatures, less rainfall, potentially dusty conditions, and Sahara dust on top of that. So those people that have respiratory conditions might be triggered by these periods of dry.
And I imagine if it's warmer than usual, that people are also going to be running their AC bill. We just ran a story just then about some efforts being made to try to keep the costs of, but obviously that's going to push the prices up too.
And again, that also plays into the human factor as well, heat stress,
Right.
both to humans and animals, livestock. So you have to also take that into consideration, stay hydrated, stay out of peak sun during the peak periods. So these have knock-on effects that we need to be mindful of. And from the National Weather Service perspective, we have plans in place to try to issue some heads up with these type of warnings, with our heat stress warnings and any flash floods that may do occur.
Right, and I hear even World Health Organization saying it may lead to increased amounts of Zika and chikungunya and dengue. It's a global climate pattern. As you said, it can affect crop prices around the world.
Yes.
But let's take it to the hurricane season itself. So they're saying it's likely we'll have a little less activity, but I saw NOAA's forecast came out, the predictive, and they were saying just kind of slightly below average. So there's still a chance.
It's by NOAA's probabilities, they have it at 55% of near below normal. So that's almost 50-50 toss of a coin.
Right.
But even though they're expecting less storms, the risk is still there. The risk doesn't change. As we keep saying, it takes one storm.
Yeah.
If we go back at last year, the activity in the Caribbean was minimal until Melissa came along, and that's caused some serious damage to our neighbors in Jamaica, and it's a lasting memory that they'll have to deal with and have in mind when they're preparing for this season as well.
That's right, that Melissa, I think there was a couple of a month where there was no activity whatsoever. So it's a complex thing, the climate.
Yeah.
I think we're going to leave it there. Always really appreciate you coming along. We're going to check in now with Seaford Russell Jr. on the sports desk. Seaford, what do you got for us?
Well, it's interesting stuff that you guys were talking about there, but I'll tell you this, the Cayman Islands dressage rider Sierra Martin has seized pretty much every opportunity given to her, but none bigger than the recent performance in Florida. I'll tell you about that, plus a lot more in sports next. Stick around. All right, the rise of dressage rider Sierra Martin continues as she becomes the first from the Cayman Islands to qualify as a junior rider for the North American Youth Championship. She earned her qualification on a borrowed Grand Prix horse during a show at a recent CDI junior competition held in the World Equestrian Center in Florida. It was there that Martin delivered an exceptional performance, winning the junior individual competition, the junior freestyle to music competition, and then she took second in the junior team competition. Martin said she is still trying to digest what she achieved.
We still had a day of competition left, and I didn't realize I had filled the criteria already, and I cried, and then I was happy and excited. I went through about 100 emotions in about 2 minutes. It's a lot of consistency and training. I'm very lucky. It wouldn't have happened if I was totally based here. It was gonna just be too much to take Loris. He's getting old and it was a lot to fly. But I'm incredibly lucky that Omar helped me find another horse in the States, and that the people there were happy to let me go to this big competition in Ocala. And it's just a lot of consistency in training, and it was really hard with the horse at first, but I mean, we just kind of had to make do, and now I really love the mare and we're doing great.
All right, so adding to Martin's success was Sandra Gurry, Secretary General of the Cayman Islands Equestrian Federation, saying her performance was truly outstanding. To achieve podium finishes across all classes is a testament to her hard work, commitment, and talent. We are incredibly proud to see her represent the Cayman Islands with such excellence. She is an excellent rider indeed, and she continues to prove that with every competition that she competes in. All right, schools continue their attempts to rack up points in the 2026 inter-primary cricket competition through week 3. Here are the final results from Zone A. In the girls' zone, First Baptist Christian School beat Island Primary B 66 runs to 63. Joanna Clark downed East End 48 runs to 42, and Edna Moyle Primary got the better of Theoline McCoy 54 runs to 53. In the boys' zone, First Baptist Christian defeated Island Primary B 124 runs to 108. East End bested Joanna Clark 90 runs to 60, and Edna Moyle defeated Theoline McCoy 87 runs to 84. All right, switching gears now, the Cayman athletes who compete in karate, they recently returned home with medals from the 20th annual Miami Open Karate International Championships. A total of 9 athletes represented, winning 6 medals, 1 silver and 5 bronze medals. The highlight of the tournament for Cayman was Lucas Jackson's performance in the 16-17 Kata division, where he defeated competitors from the U.S. and Trinidad before getting edged out in the gold medal match against last year's junior Pan American karate champion from the Dominican Republic. Patrick Brendel, coach of the Cayman Islands National Karate Do Association, said it's been amazing to see Lucas progress since he joined our national training program. He's leveled up his performance significantly over the past year and now has secured gold and silver medals in his last 2 competitions in the U.S. Congratulations to you, Lucas, all of our athletes who competed during the tournament. Okay, over 40 athletes will represent Active Water Polo Club Cayman in the Open Water Championships. The event taking place on the 31st of May in Clearwater, Florida, will feature a senior men's team and several women's teams from the Cayman Islands Club. Head coach Luke, who has been preparing his teams through the club's active league, said there's a lot of experience on his side, which should bode well.
And for the last 4 or 5 months, we ran a bit of a Cayman Islands Water Polo League, where the guys trained and they were doing 2 training sessions plus a couple of games on the weekends. And that's kind of built into the decision and the reason as to why we went into this tournament, was to kind of give an end reward for the hard work that these players have gone through. Quite fortunately, a lot of the athletes are players that have been playing for many years. So I think that's what we're doing, and I think the preparation for the ladies and the guys have been pretty good.
So wishing them the best of luck once they head over there to Clearwater, Florida. Before I go, I want to remind everyone that this Sunday is Brothers' Day. You have Mother's Day, you have Father's Day, but this Sunday is Brothers' Day. So you know what that means? All my siblings, I'm expecting breakfast in bed. So make sure you come and bring all the breakfast, because all the brothers, they love breakfast in bed. That's it for sports. More news after the break. Stick around.
Cayman's rich culture and heritage came to life at the Georgetown Public Library over the weekend with a unique event titled Human Library.
Remember that you have a responsibility to preserve our heritage and culture, and that we're doing this so that we can share it with you. Cayman has a very unique heritage, and we need to stop keeping it quiet and really share it and spread it out. And then also I would encourage young people who are artists and creators to root their work in our heritage.
The event brought together older Caymanians and the younger generation to experience our heritage through their stories. Organizers hope the initiative will continue to grow and be adopted by the Ministry of Education. Ms. Nasaria says the next event will be May 30th at the Public Library. And that is your news for tonight. If you're just tuning in, British Airways Flight 253 coming from London and headed to Cayman has been held in Bahamas over public health concerns. The Cayman Islands government confirms they are aware of the situation, assuring Cayman faces no immediate risk at this time. A number of Cayman residents are on the flight, including Minister Ralston Anglin. We will continue to update the latest on this at CaymanCompass.com. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a great weekend, and until next time, take care.